I took my 12 kids and my 3 wives to the movies today. Spent around $270, got the discount at AMC. And I brought my wives and my kids to see which one of my wives are racist and to see if my kids forgot if they were black or not. Spoiler alert. They did. You see, back in 2018, I noticed that a lot of white women were walking around with a book by Robin DiAngelo, a New York Times bestseller. The title of the book was called White Fragility. And during that time when I was looking for a snow bunny to carry my seed, I realized how much power this book held over these women. It was incredible. I could do no wrong. It wasn't my fault. I couldn't be held accountable anymore because I was told that, I'm black and my DNA of years of oppression by people that looked like her, and the trauma of systematic racism, of course, would have led me on top of another snow bunny and impregnated her, and I was not at fault. It worked every single time until I made the mistake and took them to watch Am I Racist? Let's talk about my 3 breakups.
Here's to show.
Matt Walsh is an American opinionated conservative dickhead. It's a compliment, don't worry. It has a show on Daily Wire, the network that used to host the now controversial, deplatformed Catholic conspiracy theorist and political commentator Candace Owens. And depending on who you talk to, she's either anti-Semitic or she's a freedom fighter / truth seeker. You choose the latter. But she used to be the controversial figure on that network, but that spot is now held by Matt Walsh, often expressing strong opinions on topics such as family values, gender, and personal responsibility. I can get with that. And sometimes he gets it right, and sometimes he gets it wrong. Like the Michael Jackson one. You got that one wrong. You goofy looking beater. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. A little weird, 40-some years old. Still obsessed with Michael Jackson. What Is a Woman didn't get released in theaters, or at least not one near me, so I watched it in a way that didn't require me to pay for it. And I remember finishing it and thinking to myself, man, Daily Wire really did drop the ball. So many people should have watched it because it would have shed light on the industry that has taken advantage of the trans movement while simultaneously showing you how insane some of these members of the community are and what they are pushing for. And when I was done, I realized nobody is going to watch this that doesn't already agree with you and has already subscribed to Daily Wire. I feel like it was a miss. It should have probably went to theaters to begin with, or maybe just free on YouTube so people could have seen it. But this time around, it looks like Daily Wire took a risk by putting Am I Racist in theaters. He wants that smoke. Am I Racist is a thought-provoking documentary that delves into the complex and often contentious topic of racism in a contemporary society and examines the various dimensions and definitions of racism. I'm a liberal in here still. I'm trying to get it out. As well as all the cultural and political implications of labeling individuals and groups as racist. It seems to be way too common in today's society. I heard a lot of people comparing this to Borat, the 2006 mockumentary, and if you haven't seen that yet, you should definitely watch it. And I would agree, except that this is kind of like the Uno reverse, where Matt is a regular guy while the external characters are the clowns in this documentary. So although this film is kind of shot in a mockumentary style, it is 100% authentic and real. And I'm sure some editing that occurred here and there to reinforce the message, but the workshops, the social justice warriors, the authors of these books are all real people in the business of continuing to perpetuate this idea that we are still living in the civil rights era. Some of them are still around. The Jesse Jackson, who makes money off of literally being a social justice consultant. So you gotta ask yourself, what would happen to all of them if there wasn't racism that they can attach themselves to? Well, you just gotta create other issues, such as trans issues, pronoun issues, trigger warning issues, too loud, safe spaces, all that stuff. You start attaching yourself to issues that probably aren't even real issues. Let me correct that. In a widespread form, I mean. And this is kind of highlighted in a documentary where you have all these white apologists that have either only been around black social justice warriors, never been around any actual black people, and just assume this is how we all are from what they see on TV, which is typically either Medea, the stereotypical buffoon, or hood shit where we killing each other. It's one of those two. What happened to the Cosbys? Never mind. I guess Blackish is the best we can get. Just dumb down the husband a little bit, right? Because all men are stupid. Yeah, either all black men are stupid or all black men are gay. It's one of those now. So all these white apologists that have turned this into a business, there's no way they believe all this stuff, and they have to be in the business of grifting.
Indian, she's black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. You know, I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black.
First off, if you are white and have no idea what I'm talking about, white apologists, well, generally it refers to individuals, often white, who acknowledge and apologize for historical, contemporary injustices and systematic racism perpetrated by white people or white-dominated societies. You see, I see no problem with informing and teaching that stuff and being aware that this happened in the past. But these individuals usually also advocate for racial equality and work to address and rectify impacts of racism, except that they really don't. All they do is basically just collect a bunch of money or force a bunch of corporations and businesses and people to put more value on a person's skin color than their skills or their qualifications or their job experiences. You know, normal common sense type of things that you're looking for when you hire somebody. Look no further than Hollywood. The pure example, what do you think all this was about?
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility for every unchecked moment.
For every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was.
Every nut.
Shut up, bitch!
White apologists. And what do we see after? A lot more opportunities for minorities like myself in the industry, except now that are just pissing off people because you see a lot of race swapping remakes replacing their counterparts with an ethnic person, trying to rewrite history, gender swapping, race swapping, sex swapping, Marvel characters, DC characters, cartoons. All of a sudden a Transformer is what was it again? Bi or whatever, one of those weird things.
Morgan, can you switch,
Nightshade's pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am.
All in the name of equality. And what have you seen? A less superior product that usually fails. And when it fails, you could just say, it's due to racism.
I'm gonna tell you something fascinating. It's been a book. Bastardized and appropriated. That's not a call. Book was something we created. Speak truth to power. Keep an eye out for these silly pieces.
It's trash.
The issue is that you have this subsect of like weird white people that have permeated into the discussion of race and somehow have determined how you should feel, which is usually guilt. And when I say you, I mean you white person. And in this documentary, they highlight a specific author who wrote White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo. Speaking of Robin DiAngelo, why did I think that was actually a black woman this entire time? I had no idea that she was white, which makes it 10 times worse.
Think that you are.
Probably more Native American.
Jessica Alba, you are 0% East Asian.
So now,
You are 0% Sub-Saharan African. And you are 87% European.
really?
You are whiter than Larry David.
But does Spain count?
Like, I understand an angry black woman being mad with white women. Cool. Got it. I understand the insanity over there. But a white woman hating whites?
Hey, that's racist.
Wait,
It's like reverse KKK. It's weird. This is an author that got interviewed all over mainstream media and became somewhat of a white guru for delusional white people, specifically delusional white women, who have been convinced they make everyone non-white feel uncomfortable. And I gotta give it to them. What an amazing grift. In the documentary, there was a dinner. I think it was like a dinner / seminar or something where a bunch of white people paid $30,000. I believe it's $30,000 to be part of this dinner where an Indian woman and a black woman both are yelling at them the entire time, telling these women that they're a piece of shit, they're white, they're racist, they will always be racist, America needs to burn.
Let's be clear what's happening in this country. It's Nazism. Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Touche. I gotta give you credit. I mean, wow. Humans are dumb. Man, I should definitely went that route though with my channel, right? Just sit there and just be angry, yell at all white people all day.
devil, white devil.
Could have made thousands.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, or hermaphrodite. Set your biases to the side and grab a ticket to this captivating documentary that explores the social delusions contributing to our societal decline and the few who are perpetuating these beliefs. It's worth the price of an admission, and if you're willing to buy or have bought White Fragility, I did on my Kindle, don't judge me, you gotta go to this movie and simply see the interaction between Matt Walsh and Robin Jean Taylor. I mean, Robbie D'Angelo. My bad. I gotta remember. Use your black name. Use your black name. Don't be racist. Use your black name.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. And what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt. Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
I just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
Maybe it will change your perspective, or it will just trigger you even more. I don't know. It all depends on what type of person you are. Anyone who spends most of their time focused on race and how it is the reason why everything is wrong in their life, and feel that in 2024, America is more racist than ever and lacks any sort of equality across the board, this may not be the movie for you, and you probably won't enjoy it. You could join the other group of people where they cry and drink each other's tears. I'm talking about the people who love books like White Fragility, The New Jim Crow, Between the World and Me, How Not to Get Shot, and the latest book I'm reading with my ears called The Grift. There are a lot of parallels in these types of books, which encourages, in my personal opinion, victimhood and excuses for not doing things differently. These books, they do a great job identifying the cause of the symptom, which I understand. No one ever denies that this stuff didn't happen in the past, that black people were mistreated, that there's a high incarceration rate with blacks, that we have been marginalized in the past, that there was redlining, that there was racism, that there was lynching. Nobody denies that, and nobody's trying to erase that out of history. People are just sick and tired of holding on to the past and just want to move forward. I prefer to read books like The Measure of a Man by Sidney Poitier, great biography, or Black Titan. Most of you don't even know who this guy is. The Sun Does Not Shine, Letters to a Young Brother. I don't even like Charlemagne the God, but Black Privilege was not a bad book. And of course, The Blackest of All Blacks. I'm kidding. Relax. Honestly, this book kind of sucks. Donald, find a better ghostwriter. I prefer to read books like that. What Makes Me Holler, Just Tyrus, Dear Father, Dear Son, Free Ray, Rick Ross, Black Rednecks and White Liberals, Gifted Hands, Can't Hurt Me Now. Is that the name of that book? Yeah, Can't Hurt Me. Or my guy Solo, The Game Changer. These are stories that don't spend too much time focused on the symptom, and instead how to overcome the symptom. Everyone knows when they get a cold, it's a cold. We know that. We have the history behind that. How do we overcome it? I even read Coleman Hughes' recent book, Colorblindness. I don't always agree with the guy, but it was a great book, which I thought provided a pretty decent mindset that many people probably should have.
No.
And if you think colorblindness is like, I don't see color type of stuff, maybe you should read his book and understand exactly what he means when he says colorblindness. Okay. Honestly, let's get real again. I did take my wife and my kids to watch Am I Racist? Oh, it's getting a little itchy. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I went to the theater, I was strapped. I wasn't sure. It's a conservative movie. Got crazy people out there these days. These liberals have gone crazy. Have you not seen what happened to the former president these past 6 months? I think we can say your side might be a little bit more crazy. But I brought my family there because I want them to see the ridiculousness of the world, and that you shouldn't be defined by your skin color. And I know that's just like a surface level thing to say, but the average person, the average kid, they don't inherently become racist because they're white. They're not born racist. They become racist by the rhetoric, by their experiences, by what people are telling them, influences, and etc. And when we went to the theater, it was a lot of us. The minute we walked in, we quickly realized, wow, we're the only black family here. Shocker, I know. Oh my God, I'm not married to a white woman. Can you believe it?
I don't know what to say.
But when we walked in, we had two options. I could either look around and decide I'm going to feel uncomfortable being here, and I could sit down and feel scared the entire time while I'm surrounded by a bunch of white people. Or I could do the manly thing and scream and yell at every single white person and say, get out of my safe space, this is my space. I feel uncomfortable, you're a threat to me. Could have done that. Or there is actually a third option, because there's always a third option. I could simply just sit my ass down with my family, don't feel uncomfortable because there's nothing to feel uncomfortable about, and join a group of other people who are there to watch a comedy. And sure enough, for an hour and 40 some minutes, we all laughed together. And then we all got up together and we all walked out together and everyone talked about how great the film was.
Never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior. Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you.
Are you people retarded? That's not a rhetorical question. I literally want you to email me back telling me if you're mentally slow.
I'm sure when I first walked in, some white people probably were like,
oh, it's a black family here. Cool.
Just like when I walked in and I was like, oh shit, a lot of white people here. Doesn't make me racist, doesn't make them racist, doesn't require a meltdown, and doesn't require a scene. Most people, well, in America, don't wake up and say, I'm white today, or I'm black today, or I'm Hispanic today. Nobody does that. I mean, maybe some people do. We do have people wake up all of a sudden, either girl, boy, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not a person who wakes up and thinks about my blackness every single day. I don't have that type of mentality. I don't see the world through the lens of racism. That's not who I am. And I'm sure some of you will say, well, you're privileged, you have no idea, you're light skinned, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all. I read all the books. I used to feed into that bullshit. I used to live that life of the guy who wrote the Grift. Sorry, guy. I know a subscriber. I'm sure I pissed him off, but I didn't like the book. I've heard all that stuff before. It's the past. What about right now? I'm sorry you don't like the fact that I like Donald Trump.
You ain't black.
What? You mother! Big deal. I care about the policy. Unless the policies change, and some of you may not like that. Some of you may not understand why I have the observations that I have. I can tell you this. I've traveled the world. I've done a lot of fucked up shit. I've seen a lot of fucked shit. But here in America, I gotta say, it's pretty pathetic seeing all these people still trying to clinch onto the past instead of looking forward. I also find it incredibly disrespectful that all these little social justice warriors and these 20-some-year-old people talking about racism and all this other stuff when my actual great-grandfather was a slave and my grandfather served in the military, did not get any of the benefits because he was black. My grandfather, who literally experienced real segregation, real racism. I grew up in Germany. I did experience some real racism. All of you now here in 2024 still screaming about being oppressed? I'm sorry. Get yourself a life. Go outside, touch some grass, have a conversation with the person you think might hate you, and you might be surprised that you might actually get along with that person. One thing that I learned in the military and which I really appreciate is the fact that you are put together, technically forced to be together with people from all avenues of life. And one thing you realize eventually is that you are brothers and sisters regardless of the skin color and the way you speak and where you're from and your religious beliefs and whether you're gay or not. None of that. You're brothers and sisters because when shit goes down, you got each other's back. And in America, none of y'all motherfuckers have each other's back. And it's pretty sad to see because you guys are all pawns. You're not realizing that it's not about racism. It's about classism. It's always been about classism. You want to talk to me about not knowing my history? I know more history behind the scenes than most of you do, and the reason why a lot of shit happened to the black community. And guess what? You did not experience it. So it's time to get over it, and it's time to move forward. We have a ton of opportunities. Let's rise together and stop the grift. Anyways, when I left the theater, I asked each one of my kids what they thought. Every single one of them loved it. My wife loved it. My boys loved it. And then my 9-year-old daughter, I asked her, what'd you think? And she's like, Daddy, I didn't think it was funny. I don't get it. Is everyone racist? And as I look at her, I was like, no, honey, just white people.